Is outside the office now and joins us with an update. Eric?
Yeah, John, no, I'm actually now inside the room where Governor Eliot Spitzer is expected, when he arrives here, to announce that he is resigning as the governor of the state of New York. So many legal questions over what type of deal may have been cut or could have been cut. But let's talk about his legacy for a minute. It's just a stunning downfall for a golden boy who, born and raised on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, Harvard, Princeton, the finest schools, comes from the family of a developer whose father is worth $500 million. This guy, if anyone had it all, with that reputation of being an ethical crusader against corruption, and if these charges are true, it turned out apparently to be anything but, and it just would have gotten worse and worse for him coming through the next few weeks and months. And you can expect stories about these girls coming out. You can expect Kristen, this alleged hooker, who he is charged or is allegedly paid $4,300 worth. She may be interviewed. So he was in an untenable situation professionally, politically, with little and no support among his fellow Democrats, sympathy for his family, but I have to say really no sympathy for Eliot Spitzer himself. He alienated a lot of people in Albany on both sides of the aisle, and it's tragic that some say this is for him personally. Others want to move on as quickly as possible, and we expect the resignation to be in effect on Monday so that Lieutenant Governor David Paterson, who is, as I've said, is really a blank slate for most New Yorkers, can take office. Those I've spoken to, though, say that Paterson will be a breath of fresh air, that one of his great traits is that he is not
criminal law part. The family and political is sort of obvious, and not within the realm of criminal law. Criminally, obviously, he's a lawyer 20 years himself. He knows he's not going to make any statements, not say anything, and let the lawyers negotiate on his behalf with the U.S. Attorney's Office downtown.
Yeah, he's a lawyer. His wife is a lawyer. And we're learning today, just per our Justice Department producer, that Ted Wells, who was a lead lawyer for Scooter Libby during the former Vice President's Chief of Staff's trial for perjury and obstruction of justice, that Ted Wells is on Eliot Spitzer's legal team. It seems like we're just learning this morning as well. Doug, if you will stay with us.
Sure. One interesting point here as I'm watching this unfold, in most towns and cities in America, if you had to go less than 2 miles, it wouldn't take you the better part of 15 minutes, but that is midtown traffic in Manhattan, one of the most densely packed pieces of real estate in the country. Governor Spitzer clashed frequently with Mayor Bloomberg, the mayor trying to put forward this plan that would charge people an $8 tariff, really, to drive their cars in the very part of town where the governor's motorcade is moving so slowly right now. The governor clashed with the mayor over that. Whether that plan gets approval of the incoming governor once Spitzer resigns is going to be interesting, but that is part of the reason that this is taking so long. It's got to be agony for the governor and his wife to be crawling through midtown traffic in the way they are right now. Let's talk about the political implications of all this with Rich Lowry. He's the editor of the National Review and a Fox News contributor. Rich, what do you see? Is this more than just one man's stunning fall from grace?
Well, that's what it is foremost. I mean, it's just an incredible, unbelievable fall, and part of the reason he's resigning, outside of the legal questions we've been hearing so much about from your other guests, is there is no support for him among Democrats in the legislature anymore. And, you know, a politician can perhaps survive this sort of thing, as Bill Clinton did in the Monica Lewinsky matter, but Bill Clinton had a 60% approval rating and, you know, almost unified support among Democrats in Congress. Eliot Spitzer's approval rating in January was about 35%, and there's just going to be a lot of Democrats in New York who are going to be happy to see him go because he was such an egomaniac with such a temper who alienated so many people.
For Eric, Sean, and the reporters gathered in that room, we might report that this motorcade is about a block away now from reaching the governor's office. Yeah, it's really true in politics. You need to have that base of support, and he just doesn't have one. He alienated a lot of people even in his own party, Rich.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And, you know, there are people now who sort of think that this you know, incredible scandal is of a piece with his character, an incredible arrogance, a belief that the rules didn't apply to him. There's a front-page New York Times story today outlining how, as governor, he worked closely with feminist and women's rights groups to, crack down on sex trafficking and prostitution, and his hardball tactic was to suggest going after the Johns, which, when you realize he's been engaging in this sort of conduct himself for years, is just kind of a spectacular thing.
Yeah, interesting too that he didn't rise to the governor's office the way I guess most politicians would. He turned his federal prosecutor's career into the Attorney General's job. I mean, he basically jumped from being a federal prosecutor to being the Attorney General and used the notoriety that he obtained from that office to propel him into the governor's chair. He didn't build that kind of political support base that one might normally do if you're a city councilman and then a mayor and then a state senator and then into the governor.
That's right. But a big part of his power base was the press, because when he was launching these high-profile hardball prosecutions of folks on Wall Street and elsewhere, the press loved it because they were dependent on him for leaks. And if he leaked a juicy tidbit about someone he was going after, that would be front-page news and make that reporter's day. So there was no one in the press who had any skepticism about the character or the tactics of this man, and he used that to roll into the governorship with 69% of the vote. And he did seem like a steamroller, as he famously put it, but then he very quickly alienated people in Albany. He very quickly got embroiled in this scandal where he was using state troopers to against a high-profile Republican in the legislature, and it's been downhill from there.
I happened to have an encounter with him. We were both out in Colorado skiing and flying back to New York on the same plane, and we saw each other, sort of made eye contact at the check-in counter, and he mentioned something to me about the fact that you're going to be hearing from me this week, meaning I'm going to make news this week. He was still Attorney General then, and he was trying to drop a hint to a report. I didn't cover him regularly at all, but I guess
Governor Spitzer to come to the podium to announce that he is resigning as the governor of the state of New York. This really is a Shakespearean tragedy in some ways. This former older boy who has fallen from the heights in such a squalid and sordid manner. More revelations, allegations about him patronizing call girls as an attorney general, plus the legal ramifications and, of course, the personal ramifications with his family. His wife of 21 years, Silda, they met in law school. They have 3 children, 3 daughters, and we are now waiting for him to step to the podium that you can see in a few moments and announce his resignation as governor, which we expect to be pretty short, to the point, and leave all the other legalities and issues to other people.
Yeah, and almost in the same way, he made the so-called apology on Monday. That was so quick, if you blink, you missed it. This is expected to be very much the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so too, and he will likely apologize again, I would imagine. And he would like to say, I would expect him to say, once again, I want to apologize to my family, to the people of the state of New York. This really is his apology, whether the New Yorkers take it or not. The recent poll showed 70% plus want him to leave. He lost basically nearly all political support, even among those of his own party. And I guess if you reap what you sow, political consultants and others that I've talked to this morning say, as we've said, what goes around comes around. Although no one wants to see this, no one really wanted to see it to this level, to hurt his family, hurt his wife to this extent. There is a sense that, you make your own bed and you lie in it, and if these charges are true, Eliot Spitzer certainly did that, turn of the phrase. We expect the governor, we're looking at the side door in which the security people are just giving us some final moments, as you know, as these things go, as we sit and wait for the transition of power to a basic unknown for most
Eric,
New Yorkers.
Talk for a second, if you will, about the pressures that were on him. We were learning that it's being reported that some in his office had made some overtures toward the Assembly Speaker's office in Albany. real they were and just how many votes they had if they had to go forward on an impeachment trial could have been disastrous. It sounds like the answer they got back was, you know what, the votes are there.
Yeah, the votes certainly were there. Not only would you have the Republican state Senate, but it would seem that you need the majority of the Democratic-controlled Assembly to go along with it, and it seemed that they had it. And we can just see it with the deafening silence of the past 2 days when Sheldon Silver, the majority leader of the New York State Assembly, did not step up and publicly offer support to Governor Spitzer. They know that they had to get this done, had to get this over with. They had to move on in a state that has been buffeted by corruption allegations, by an administration that's under investigation already on a variety of several issues, including sending state troopers to investigate the chief Republican of the state, Joseph Bruno, a venerable, very well-respected state senator who is the head of the state Senate, who himself is now also under investigation for private business dealings. So you had just a tremendous muddy mire up in Albany, and then this hit on Monday out of the blue, just leaving Eliot Spitzer in such an untenable situation that, of course, he would not be able to hang on or continue, even if his wife, as was reported, wanted him to stay. Politically done, personally, it seems to be done. Legally, we have to see what the legal process follows.
Yeah, certainly the writing seemed to be on the wall. I know the Assembly Speaker, you referred to Shelley Silver, was asked yesterday what Mr. Spitzer should do, and his quote was, do what's best for his family, and that was it. It seemed like there were not many other options, which probably became pretty clear. Again, you're listening to Eric Shawn, who is inside the office of New York Governor Eliot Spitzer there in Midtown Manhattan. We are expecting any moment outside that side door you see there for him to walk out. We're told his wife, Silda, will be with him, that he has decided to resign, that he will read a statement there after he was linked to a prostitution ring, became part of a federal investigation. As you know, Eric just pointed out, the future are charges coming. We don't know. He has not been charged. These are just allegations at this point. Looks like we're seeing some movement from that door.
Yep, Governor Spitzer is entering the room now.